I'm going to keep Dr. Boyle till 40 after, so this segment and part of the next, then to your phone calls and all the other news. Dr. Boyle, I want to get into government-sponsored terror with you, and also what will happen, because I know you research a lot of the research material out there on what will happen if Iran is hit and what their response will probably be, or what some of those possible responses could be. And I apologize to the audience, because this is more important than Michael Jackson, in my humble opinion, going into the Depression and World War III. But I also wanted to get into just this basic fact. It seems like everything's happening. They're setting up a Federal Reserve dictatorship with the, quote, second bailout, where they can seize any business they want. They're taking over the water supply. They're taking over free speech. The hate crime bill passed the House. It says if you hurt someone's feelings, the Fed's can arrest you. I mean, it seems like as bad as Bush was, it's 10 times worse under Obama. From your perspective, is that an accurate statement?
I wouldn't say it's 10 times worse. What I would say, Alex, is that they're just continuing and compounding the trends that we saw under Bush. We have to understand who is behind Obama. Obama studied for 2 years at Columbia University, where his mentor was Zbigniew Brzezinski. All right? And behind Brzezinski is, of course, David Rockefeller. Okay? It was David Rockefeller who set up the Trilateral Commission and appointed Brzezinski as the executive director, and they then co-opted the Georgia governor, Jimmy Carter, and turned him into being president. Well, where do you think Obama came from? It's the same thing all over again. Likewise, Kissinger. General Jones, the national security advisor, has stated that he takes directions from Kissinger every day. Who is behind Kissinger? Two sources, primary sources behind Kissinger. One, he was in Army counterintelligence in World War II. So effectively, he's a spook. Two, David Rockefeller. And Kissinger is an alleged Republican, although he also worked for Nelson Rockefeller. He was a switch hitter between the Democrats and the Republicans.
Wasn't David Rockefeller also an intelligence evidence shows?
I do not know if David Rockefeller himself was or was not. But Kissinger was denied tenure at Harvard originally, and he went to work for David Rockefeller, and he was put on the Rockefeller family payroll. And he is still advising the Obama administration. We also know from Bob Woodward's book that President Bush Jr. Was being advised by Kissinger as well. Indeed, was probably his most important and influential advisor. We also know that a matter of public record, Kissinger is advising the German Pope. So you tie all the dots together here, and what do you come up with? As I said, you come up with a continuity of the plutocracy running the show like the Rockefellers, and then having the money to pay for the brain power like Kissinger and Brzezinski and their protégés to do the dirty work for them. And that's pretty much what's going on. And Obama, he fits right there. Just like Jimmy Carter was a new face, a clean man, et cetera, about his reputation when he ran for president, and then what happened. But you really have to look at the people behind Obama. It's a bit like the Wizard of Oz here. Who's pulling the strings?
Well, exactly. You say it much better than I did. And
I'm sorry,
that's what it is. It's just
beforehand, Alex, but you just have to look at the same cast of characters. Kissinger and Brzezinski have effectively been running either the South. Madeleine Albright, for example, was a Brzezinski protege. When you're familiar with Madeleine Albright.
Sure,
again,
former Secretary of
Brzezinski is Rockefeller. Brzezinski has no money, no power. Kissinger has no money, no power. But they were co-opted by intelligence agencies and plutocrats like Rockefeller to run the empire and the police state for them.
And so the reason we've got a break and a final segment with you, Dr. Boyle, the reason it's getting so bad is that's just the program. We're just marching deeper down. But clearly they're accelerating the whole program. So we'll ask you what the end game, what the great game is when we get back, and about government-sponsored terror, and what will this look like if they do hit Iran? What some of the possible outcomes of that are with our guest. The good old folks at New Silver Solution. And the website is supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com. This is something that kills bacteria, viruses, you name it, well documented. They've got it down to a super small nano-sized particle. Supernaturalsilver.com. Check them out at Infowars.com.
Days have found us.
All right, final segment with Dr. Francis Boyle. His new book is out, Tackling America's Toughest Questions, Alternative Media Interviews. Get him to briefly tell you about that in a few minutes before he goes. But on the subject of the Chicago Business School, where all these people come from, and you went to school with all these individuals, you were telling me during the break about how this really all goes back to the Rockefellers. Then I briefly wanted to talk about government-sponsored terror. Iran on record having the United States stage terror attacks inside of it. And I guess the American people are ignorant of that or comfortable with it. And what an attack on Iran will cause.
Yeah, well, if the United States, either itself or with Israel, or Israel unilaterally attacks Iran, you'll see the entire Middle East blow up. Everywhere from Gaza, and by the way, a good deal of the Middle East is already inflamed now. Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. And notice Obama put the well-known neocon Richard Holbrooke in charge of Afghanistan and Pakistan, and Holbrooke has now spread the Afghanistan war into Pakistan, deliberately and on purpose, has created a total humanitarian catastrophe for 2 million completely innocent Pakistanis, and is destabilizing Pakistan, very much like what was done with Iraq. Iraq has been destabilized, effectively carved up into three pieces, and neutralized. So you have a war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan already. If Iran is attacked, the entire Persian Gulf, everywhere, will blow up, at least from Egypt over to India. This whole area will become a war zone. And you recall when President Bush was in power, at that time, President Putin, the KGB agent, went over to Iran and said he did not believe Iran was developing nuclear weapons. Whereupon President Bush got up and publicly threatened World War III over Iran's nuclear program. That everyone agrees they're not developing nuclear weapons. But he threatened World War III. Now, clearly, Iran is not capable of waging World War III. That threat was directed at then President Putin.
And then we saw 888. We saw that sneak attack.
Saying, right, that we, the United States, are prepared to take over Iran and risk World War III with you, Russia, and you better understand that. Just soon thereafter, then, President Putin gave a press conference responding to the proposal to deploy these ABM systems in Europe, which, by the way, yesterday Obama indicated under McFaul's influence they still were not going to give up. President Putin said, if you keep these things in Europe, you are risking another Cuban Missile Crisis. And, I lived through the Cuban Missile Crisis. I remember it quite well. The world came, within a hairbreadth of destruction. So that is what we right now are facing under Obama with these characters that he has in power surrounding him. And, of course, if the whole Middle East blows up and there are also, terrorist attacks launched by Iran in Europe, you'll have the immediate imposition of a de jure police state here in America. And remember...
And I guarantee you, they're probably going to try to come arrest you, right? They're going to try to come arrest you.
Yeah, I'm on the terrorist watch list. That's correct. I'm on a list of 4,000 select people